Professor Khoo Teng Chai, Chairman of the Institute of Real Estate and Urban Studies, or IRUS, Professor Chen Wen-lan, Professor Joseph Wee, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to everyone. Happy to join you today. Let me begin by congratulating IRUS on your 20th anniversary. Over the past 2 decades, the Institute's research has grown both in scope and depth, spanning land, housing, urban planning, sustainability, and technology. This reflects the increasing complexity of our real estate and urban landscape, including housing. When we first started more than 60 years ago, our task was more straightforward. We wanted to move people out of overcrowded and unsafe slums by building enough homes and building them quickly. We rose to that challenge, and today 8 in 10 residents live in HDB flats and 9 in 10 own their homes in Singapore, and this is something that we are very proud of. Singapore's home ownership rate is one of the highest in the world. And there's a saying that home is where the heart is. And in our case, we believe the reverse is true as well. Heart is where the home is. So when you have high home ownership, that people have a sense of rootedness and a sense of belonging. We have a stake, collective stake in this country. Our housing challenges have since grown far more complex beyond just building enough flats. First, we must meet continued strong housing demand while addressing increasingly diverse needs across every stage of life. Young families, many of them would prefer flats with shorter waiting times. Seniors who wish to age in place. And more singles who are looking for their own space while staying near their parents for mutual support. Second, we must ensure that our flats remain affordable and accessible amid changing economic conditions. With HDB flats catering to around 80% of all Singaporeans, our flats must cater to a wide range of budgets and needs. Not only lower income buyers, like what we see for public housing in other countries, but also middle income and upper middle income buyers too. Our policies, therefore, must keep pace to offer a diversity of housing options across different locations and price points. Third, as our towns mature and land becomes increasingly scarce, we must be deliberate in how we rejuvenate, redevelop, and intensify existing areas, making better use of limited space while preserving the character and livability of our communities. This morning, please allow me to share how MND is addressing these challenges. First, we will continue to build more homes and build them faster. This year, HDB will launch around 19,600 built-to-order or BTO flats, including 4,000 shorter waiting time flats with a waiting time of less than 3 years. To meet the growing demand from seniors and singles, we are also increasing the supply of 2-room flexi flats by almost 50% from 2026 to 2028. We'll go beyond our current commitments to launch 55,000 BTO flats from 2025 to 2027 if demand remains strong. Now, based on current trends, we are likely to do so. We'll also maintain a robust supply of private housing. This year, we expect about 12,000 units of private housing, including executive condominiums or ECs, to be launched by developers. This is similar to the supply in 2025 and is more than 50% higher than the number of units launched in 2024 and in the previous few years. We are prepared to release more land for private housing if demand remains strong. I'm glad we are seeing positive signs that our efforts thus far are bearing fruit. The median application rate for first-timer families applying for 3-room or larger BTO flats fell from a high of almost 7 times in 2020 to 1.1 to 1.9 times in 2025. In the latest February 2026 BTO exercise, it was 0.9 times for first-timer families. There are also signs of market stabilization in the HDB resale market. For the first quarter of 2026, the resale price index fell for the first time in nearly 7 years. Although the reduction is quite small, it's a 0.1% reduction from the previous quarter. But this is the first time in nearly 7 years. And in the private residential property market, the property price index rose by 0.9% from the previous quarter, which is broadly comparable to the quarterly average price increase in 2025. And this was lower than the quarterly average of 2.4% that we experienced in the few years after the COVID-19 pandemic. We will build on this momentum and continue a robust supply for both public and private residential units to meet Singaporeans' housing needs. Now, beyond supply, we have put in place various policies over the years to ensure public housing remains affordable and accessible for Singaporeans. One key step was the introduction of the new flat classification framework in 2024. Under this framework, we offer additional subsidies for plus and prime flats to keep these flats affordable, accessible, and inclusive for a wider group of home buyers. This enabled more Singaporeans to live in attractive locations. However, to remain fair to standard flat buyers who do not receive these additional subsidies, and also to other taxpayers who are funding these additional subsidies, we impose tighter restrictions for plus and prime flats, such as the longer minimum occupation period or MOP, and subsidy recovery if they sell their flat. In this way, the framework helps to keep our public housing system more affordable and more inclusive while remaining fair to all stakeholders. We are also currently reviewing the income ceiling of $14,000 for BTO flats. Our priority is to ensure that our flats remain affordable and accessible to majority of Singaporean households with greater support for those who need them most. In the meantime, there are a variety of options available for those who currently exceed the income ceiling, including HDB resale flats and private residential properties. Couples who earn between $14,000 and $16,000 per month and aspire to own private housing but may not yet be able to afford can consider executive condominiums or ECs. ECs are a unique product in Singapore's housing landscape. They were introduced in 1995 to bridge the gap between HDB, which is public housing, and private housing. And they are developed and sold by private developers. Although they have design features and facilities similar to private condominiums, they are priced 20 to 30% lower than comparable private condominiums. This is because we impose initial eligibility and ownership restrictions, such as an income ceiling and a minimum occupation period, or MOP. As I mentioned in my speech at MND's Committee of Supply debate earlier this year, we have been reviewing the EC policy. Over the past few years, the proportion of first-time EC buyers have decreased relative to second-timers who have larger housing budgets from the sale proceeds of their first home. In 2020, about half of EC buyers were first-timers. In 2024 and 2025, the proportion has dropped to between 30 and 40%. We also want to reinforce the focus of ECs on meeting occupation needs for homeowners. In 2021 to 2025, among ECs that were transacted on the open market, about 75% were sold within 5 years after their MOP, up from 45% over the preceding 5-year period. We are making 3 changes to the EC housing scheme to further support first-time home buyers and focus ECs on meeting home occupation needs. These 3 new measures will apply to all EC government land sale sites with tender closing dates on or after today, 8th of May 2026. So they do not apply to tenders that have already taken place. These are for tenders going forward. Developers have sufficient time, therefore, to study these measures and price them in when submitting their land bids for the new tenders. So let me explain what are these 3 changes. First, we will extend the EC MOP from 5 years to 10 years. The current policy requires EC homeowners to fulfill a 5-year MOP before they can sell their units to Singaporean citizens to Singapore citizens and permanent residents on the open market. They must wait another 5 years, in other words, 10 years in total, before they can sell their units to any other buyer, including foreigners and corporate entities. After that point, ECs may transact just like any other private residential property. Extending the EC MOP by 5 years means that EC homeowners must now fulfill a 10-year MOP before they can sell their EC units to Singapore citizens and PRs on the open market. They must wait another 5 years or 15 years in total before they can sell to any other buyer. Second, developers will not be allowed to offer the Deferred Payment Scheme, or DPS, for uncompleted EC units. Under the DPS, EC buyers pay 20% of the purchase price upfront, with the remaining 80% deferred until the project obtains its temporary occupation permit. Buyers who opt for the DPS would generally incur a 2 to 3% premium over the EC unit purchase price. To encourage financial prudence and to align with the arrangements for other uncompleted private residential properties, developers can no longer offer the DPS for uncompleted ECs. Third, we will increase the first-timer quota and lengthen the priority period for first-timers buying EC units. Currently, developers must reserve 70% of EC units for first-timer in the first month after the launch of a new EC development. We will increase the first-timer quota from 70% to 90%. We will also lengthen the priority period from 1 month to 2 years. This will give first-timers a better chance of securing ECs. We also hope this will result in developers reducing their land bids and the prices for their ECs, as they can only sell 90% of their units to first-timers during the first 39 months from the date of award of the site, or more precisely from the 15th month to the 39th month, before the developer ABSD clawback kicks in at the 5-year mark, or up to the 6-year mark if the project is eligible for prevailing ABSD remission timeline extensions. Now, ladies and gentlemen, beyond building new homes, we also need to look after our existing towns. As our towns age, we need to ensure they remain safe, livable, and vibrant for their residents. We have taken a multi-pronged approach to this. First, we are upgrading aging HDB flats and rejuvenating our older estates and neighborhoods. The first HDB flats were built in the 1960s. Many of our flats are now approaching or have reached their 60-year mark. To ensure they remain safe and livable, we will introduce a second round of upgrades via the Home Improvement Program 2, or HIP 2, when flats reach their 60 to 70-year mark. HIP 2 will be more extensive than the current HIP, which focuses on flats that are around 30 years old. We will make use of new technologies, such as microwave scanning, to detect spalling concrete and water seepage, and repair the ceiling with durable materials so that the flat remains safe and livable till the end of its 99-year lease. In addition, residents will continue to benefit from upgrading programs, such as the Neighborhood Renewal Program and Silver Upgrading Program. These programs upgrade the exterior facilities and living environment, while HIP and HIP2 upgrade the interior facilities within the flat. Second, where possible, we will also inject fresh housing supply in more developed housing areas. This brings fresh amenities and helps to revitalize our older estates, benefiting current and new residents. For example, as part of the rejuvenation of Toa Payoh Town, we will launch a BTO project comprising around 1,600 units next to Caldecott MRT. Beyond the development, residents can look forward to a new neighborhood park with spaces for residents to exercise, play, rest, and enjoy therapeutic activities, as well as commercial facilities, such as a food court and fast food restaurant, supermarket, retail shops, and a childcare center. We will also be launching public housing at Pearls Hill, bringing homes back into the city center for the first time in over 40 years. This development will include Singapore's tallest public housing project at over 60 stories. Third, we will progressively redevelop older HDB towns and estates through the voluntary early redevelopment scheme of VERS. Several of our older estates were rapidly built up in the 1970s and 1980s to meet our urgent housing demand at that time. If we leave all the leases to naturally run down, we will need to relocate a large number of residents, build many new homes, and tear down many old flats within a short time in the 2070s and 2080s. This will be very disruptive to residents who are staying in these towns. Hence, it is better to stage the redevelopment over decades through VERS. This will allow us to progressively renew and rejuvenate our towns. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude my speech. Singapore's housing landscape will continue to evolve for years to come, shaped by demographic shifts, maturing towns, and evolving aspirations. Addressing these trends requires good data, rigorous research, and close collaboration. In fact, many of our policies, including the new flat classification framework and changes to the EC housing scheme that I shared earlier, have been informed by the thought leadership of IRUS and your members. We value this partnership very much. The work that IRUS does is rigorous, grounded, and forward-looking. It contributes to the broader conversation on urban development and housing. I look forward to our continued collaboration, where your research adds to the rich body of evidence and perspectives that we draw on as we develop our policies to benefit all Singaporeans. Thank you very much.